Welcome to day 111 and 112 of our Bible in a Year reading plan. And you guessed it, today is our catch-up days. So in today's video, we are going to be doing a quick recap of what we've read so far this week, a brief reflection question, and then we're going to have an introduction into our next two books that we're going to read next week, which are Ezra and Nehemiah. So let's dive into the video. All right, everyone, and in today's recap, we're just going to briefly go over what we read in 2 Chronicles this week. And really what we read was a recap of the many kings that had been in Judah. So we have talked about King Solomon and the things that happened during King Solomon's reign. We also talked about King Hezekiah and what happened in King Hezekiah's reign, as well as Josiah. And these are really the three prominent kings that most people remember and that are covered in this section. We also had King Asa, we had King Jehoshaphat, and most of these kings that I've mentioned were the kings that did what was pleasing in the Lord's sight. We also had a few kings that did not do what was pleasing in the Lord's sight and led Israel back into sin, led them back into idol worship. I didn't want to spend a lot of time in the recap section because we read most of this stuff in 2 Kings, but like I said, there are a lot of places in 2 Chronicles where it's the same story but you have added details. For instance, in some of the sections they list who the people were that were involved, such as the various Levites and the priests. They may also give us more details about how a specific celebration or a coronation service went. There are a lot of extra details that we can find in 1 Chronicles and 2 Chronicles about what was written in 2 Samuel and 1 Kings. But let's dive into our reflection question, which came from day 107. And on day 107, we read 2 Chronicles chapters 14 and 18. And the reflection question says, consider Jehoshaphat's ill-fated alliance with King Ahaziah of Israel in 2 Chronicles 20 through 21. How does Jehoshaphat's compromise with an ungodly ruler serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of aligning ourselves with those who do not honor God? And so for those of you that don't remember what happened, you can find this in 2 Chronicles 20 verses 35 through 37. And it says, sometime later, King Jehoshaphat of Judah made an alliance with King Ahaziah of Israel, who was very wicked. Together they built a fleet of trading ships at the port of Ezion-Geber. Then Eleazar, son of Dodavah from Mareshah, prophesied against Jehoshaphat. He said, because you have allied yourself with King Ahaziah, the Lord will destroy your work. So the ships met with disaster and never put out to sea. So we see King Jehoshaphat, who is a godly ruler, pairing up with one of the kings of Israel, King Ahaziah. So the question is, how does Jehoshaphat's compromise with an ungodly ruler serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of aligning ourselves with those who do not honor God? And so, they wanted to build these ships so that they could go out and get gold and things like that and bring them back into Judah and into Israel. But because one of the kings was good and the other one was wicked, because the other king was wicked, God destroyed and frustrated their plan. And this is something that we need to be reminded of. The Lord constantly tells us in his word not to be unequally yoked, to not align ourselves with unbelievers. Because as we've been reading throughout Kings and as we've been reading throughout Chronicles, we see the influences of these wicked people on the other kings of Judah who were righteous. One of the kings, I can't remember his name right now, that was partnered up with one of the wicked kings. He went out to battle with him. The wicked king got hurt, and then that king was going to visit him, and he ended up being murdered by Jehu. So Jehu murdered him because of his alliance with the wicked king. And so we have to be careful as men and women of God to make sure that we are not aligning ourselves with ungodly people, with ungodly sources, people doing ungodly things, because it can bring ruin to us personally and lead us astray into idolatry or it can destroy the very things that we are planning to do. And so we just have to be careful as men and women of God to make sure that when we are making alliances with people, when we are making business decisions with people, that we are lined up with people who are for God and stand with God, so that we will not be destroyed, or the things that we're trying to do won't be destroyed in the process because of those ungodly alliances. All right, so let's dive into our introduction of our next two chapters for next week. So next week we will finish up Second Chronicles, and then we will read Ezra and Nehemiah. So Ezra and Nehemiah in the Hebrew Bible is actually one book. And these two books describe the return of the Israelites back to their land after 70 years of exile. Because remember, through the prophet Jeremiah, God prophesied to them that they would be banished from their land for 70 years. So Ezra and Nehemiah take place 70 years later after the exile. So as we read through Ezra, we will learn, who comes back from the exile. We will learn about the different struggles that the Israelites faced as they returned back to their homeland, and how they faced those struggles and issues, and how God just worked and moved through the people during this time in Israelite history. But all right, guys, I hope you were blessed by this video. If you have fallen behind in your reading, remember, these days are catch-up days. So take this time, catch up on your reading. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notification for day 113 of our Bible in a Year reading plan. All right, everyone, have a blessed day. Bye.